today's schedule, we have 4 paper presentations with us. First by Fatima Lepcha, followed by Debanjali Bhattacharya, Hina Verma, and finally by Uindrila Dr. Chaudhary. Before beginning, I take this opportunity to particularly thank our very own, our HOD, our Professor P.C. Patnaik sir, for giving us this platform for this intellectual feast. And of course, to Dr. Venkat sir for providing us with the technical support, like always. All right, so this session will be for 2 hours. Some housekeeping, some very gentle reminders to the paper presenters are that each speaker will be given a total of 20 minutes only. Then I will open the discussion I will open the platform for an open discussion for a 10-minute stretch. So I would request the speakers to keep this time limit in mind so that I can take up as many queries, as many comments, questions, observations, as many as possible. Meanwhile, I request the listeners to keep their queries and observations ready and strictly post them in the chat box so that I can take them up as soon as a presentation ends. I also request the listeners to keep themselves muted throughout this session so that we can have a seamless transmission. So without any further delay, I welcome our very first speaker of this session, Fatima Lepcha, who would be reflecting on the folklore of the Lepcha marriage concerning the status of women. Fatima, before presenting, you can just briefly introduce yourself and then the podium will be all yours. Fatima, over to you.
If I have to share the screen then, like for PPT?
Yes, there's this option called share screen.
Okay.
Share screen. Since you've been made the co-host, so I think you can easily do that.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Okay.
Fatima, we can see your screen. If you could just make it full.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're perfectly audible.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'll be starting with my introduction. Myself, Fatima Lepcha, a PhD scholar from the Department of History, Sikkim University, and also working in Kalimpong College, Department of History, assistant professor. For today's webinar, my topic is reflecting the folklore of the Lepcha marriage concerning the status of the women. Alan Dunes, American folklorist, says folklore is the mirror that reflects the particular cultures, condition, and values. Remembering this notion, Lepcha's legends, folklore, and the folktales also says that there was a country known as Mayallang amidst the abode of the gods, high up among the clouds in the Himalayas. There lived a simple tribe who called themselves Mutansi Rangkak, meaning the mother's loved ones. Lepchas believe that they have come from the original Mayallang country, meaning the land of the hidden paradise or the delightful region or abode. Folklore of the Lepcha marriage. Lepchas have the legends and lore regarding the marriage system. Narratives of the origin of the marriage by Dr. Sonam Wangdi Lepcha, Yesodoma, and Lansong Tamsang are slightly different. The recount of the marriage given by Dr. Sonam Wangdi is less in comparison to the other 2 writers. At the same time, Yesodoma also describes the invention of the chi, the traditional drink of the Lepchas, along with the marriage rituals. As per the narratives of the Lansong Tamsang, the president of the Indigenous Lepcha Tribal Association, in the age of yore, when the people lived on hunting and gathering, a young Lepcha boy named Tarbung Thing fell in love with the Lepcha woman Narip Nom. They met at a place called Paripagan in Mayallang when Tarbung Thing had gone for hunting. He approached the girl and asked her name and the place of her residence. He also asked her to elope with him to spend a new life with her. Naripnom replied that she has to ask permission from her mother and her uncle. Tarbom Thing returned to her mother and expressed his desire to marry the beautiful Lepcha girl. Mother of Tarbom Thing summoned her brother and sent him to the house of Naripnom to ask her hand in marriage. Both the family were happy and welcomed the proposal of the marriage between Naripnom and Tarbom Thing. A meeting of the Lipchas was convened at Runjingpurtam to finalize their marriage. In the folklore, Tarbong Thing and his uncles also gave consent to the interests of the bride price. At the end of the meeting, a bamboo was planted to commemorate the occasion, which signifies the never-ending relations between the bride and the groom's family, as the bamboo is a kind of plant which takes time to perish and is difficult to destroy. As for the meeting, Tarbong Thing and his uncles were able to collect the bride price and place them in front of the bride's mother, uncle, aunt, and relatives during the wedding. Thus, the first Lepcha marriage ceremony was solemnized between Naripnom and Tarbong Thing. The folklore becomes special in a way as it provides information about the practice of marriage and rituals. The practice became so common among the Lipchas that it became without difficulty the customary law. This customary law also provides insight into the community's interests and retrospect to marriage. According to the customary law of the Lipcha, law of marriage, before the finalization of the marriage, certain criteria were to be fulfilled. This criteria includes economic conditions, mental and physical health, morality, and dignity. These were the qualities that Lepcha would consider an ideal individual appropriate for the marriage. So, to obtain the information of the given criteria of the said party groom, there was a certain process that would act as an instrument to assess the information of the groom. This process is called a sakeyang, in which, in which the people were deputed to collect information about the groom's family. However, this not only remained the quest to know the character and the culture of the groom. If it is qualified, then the bride price issued would be raised. As per the rituals before marriage, the important points shall be examined by the family, such as the family should not have been affected by any hereditary disease like leprosy. Any member of the family should not have been attacked, injured, or killed by a tiger. The family should not have any history of suicidal or murder cases. A family involved in fighting and killing over land and water dispute was not accepted. Focusing mostly on the economic condition, social status, and the hereditary history of the family, the marriage was decided. As Lepchas were small tribes, there was always a danger of being extinct, or if not, then impure. It could have been that such threat of extinction was conscious of it. It could also have been the distribution of population in a dispersed manner, interlocking the community with each other. As a result, any community and unknown to them always remained suspicious, but endogamy took place. As such, to counter such a premise, Lepcha could have favored endogamy. Endogamy, which is a marriage within a specified group, was practiced only after 4 generations on mother's side or after the death of the great grandmother. Exogamy, not favored but gave consent reluctantly, it applied only to the men. So, when a Lepcha man marries a woman of a non Lepcha community, the bride will be granted the Lepcha clan or Agit with a Lepcha traditional ceremony called Agit Mu by a Bungthing or a Mun to safeguard the interests of the future offspring, especially girls. But she will not be entitled to land and property. If a Lepcha girl marries a non-Lepcha community, she automatically forfeits her claim and right as Lepcha, their ancestral land and property. The customary law of the Lepchas also mentions several punishments in case of a violation of the law. They are banned from the community and were never allowed to return to the village. Lepchas took a great deal in avoiding the incest marriage. Lepcha man shall be allowed to marry his mother's clan or agit. Gorer quoted 9 generation on the father's side and 4 generation on mother's side. According to A.K. Das, marriage between the cousin is forbidden among the Lepchas. Sumit Ghoshal states that the exogamy in the Lepcha marriage does not permit marrying relatives. Lepchas count 5 descendants on the father's side and 3 on the mother's side. The importance of the clan or mu or agit in the Lepcha marriage is that the daughter follow the lineage of the mother and the son from his father. Hence, both the sexes retain their identity in the family, sharing equal importance and value. Veena Bashin and Chi Nakane have stated the importance of the clan on the mu in marriage and the restriction followed by the tribe for the same. Lepcha community follows the mu or clan or agit lineage, providing some flexibility in choosing their partners. Therefore, caste system was not practiced by them. The tradition of following the clan or mu lineage system in marriage is to avoid marriage within the same clan of the mother and father. Vadal showed the traces of matriarchy among the Lepchas, in which the children traces their descent through the mothers. Rituals and customs of the Lepcha marriage. The marriage ceremonies of the Lepchas are still performed by the Bungthing, the Lepcha priest. Lepcha marriage consists of various rituals to be followed, such as Nyomvat, the quest for the bride, as above mentioned in the folklore, in which the boy's side, preferably the maternal uncle, will go along with the cheap rock panol, that is the packet of cheap present. For this rite, the middleman called the Pibu or a Bigbu, along with the maternal uncle, plays the major role in gathering the information and asking the hands of the bride. The Pibu, Bigbu of each side maintains contact between families and conduct negotiation for marriage. The middleman and the maternal uncle must always be ready to answer all the queries about the bride, her clan, and kingfolk. His status and the role are embedded and intrinsic to the matrilineal social structure. He represents the placement of men vis-a-vis women of matrilineal descent. The first initiative for the marriage was always taken from the groom's family. The girl's family is well within their rights to decline or accept the proposal, beginning from the engagement rituals. Second ritual is asake, which means the joining or the linking functions or the engagement. With the acceptance of the marriage proposals by the girl's parents, the formal offerings from the groom's sides are placed. After much negotiation and when the date for the asake is fixed, the groom's party is expected to visit the bride's family in a submissive manner with the necessary customary gifts. In this negotiation, it is always the bride's side that tries to find faults and look for some loopholes, but the groom's side, instead of taking the challenge and despite the provocation, are always supposed to keep calm and sit quietly. Oh, there will be levying fines for each fault according to the custom. The social relations between the bride and the groom's party are illustrated through the customs of the submissive nature of the groom's party. The above mentioned custom is still practiced by the Lepchas. This event can only be finalized when the girl's party secretly inquires, as above mentioned, about the family of the boy, the hereditary disease, and the undesirable hardship. If something of this kind is found, the girl's party has the liberty to break the negotiation. The second ritual is Bri, the planning and braiding the wedding ceremony. The custom of Tayakub Afar or Nyomsa Afar, which means the marriage price or the bride price, is practiced amongst the Lepchas. Traditionally, it is paid to the bride parents and relatives, that includes Nyom Asagyu, that is engagement price, Chi, that is fermented beverage, 1 basket, Pogori Lyak, that is garland, and 6 rupees silver coins. A.R. Fawning makes the list of the presents to be given by the grooms at the marriage to the bride's party. That includes 2 full baskets of chi, 1 fore and the hind legs of a bull with the tail attached, Amodumdam, wearing a prasal for mother, Abo Ayonglu, a body wrapping shawl for the father, Panyol or gift for maternal uncle, maternal aunt, paternal uncle, paternal aunt, and farming the brothers. But it is not obligatory. Fourth rituals is Nyomli Haram, the bride's entrance to her new house, which includes one basket of tea, two bottles of liquor, and a front left leg of a bull, bride's dress and jewelry. In completion of the marriage ceremony, the bride's party offer Nyomunjok Jugul, which is completely a dress code denoting that the daughter has been handed over to the lap of groom's parents. Coming to the bride price, as it is the oldest form, is still maintained by the lecture society. The girl gives the final approval to the acceptance by touching these presents and the chi basket. According to Tapan Chattopadhyay, if she picks up a load of tea and a coin, this means that she has given her consent to the marriage. This custom of the lepcha indicates the compensation paid to the parents of the bride. It is also to be paid either by following various rituals that demand the interest of the bridal party or the physical labor if one cannot comply with the demand. However, this is pre-arranged. If the demand is fulfilled, then the groom has the right to take her to his abode. If demand was unmet, then the labor must be provided to the bride's house till he successfully appeased the party. E.T. Dalton and H.H. Risley in the second half of the 80s have observed bride price as a compulsory ritual of the Lipcha marriage. They also considered the late marriage of the Lipchas was due to the hardship in organizing the bride price. The bride price was considered indispensable because the groom was bound to pay it by offering his labor to the house of the bride, considering it a service marriage. The custom of bride price amongst the Lepchas has given social recognition and an important economic role to women in rural agricultural society. Role and the status of Lepcha women. Marriage as an institution has always been considered an important aspect of society. Men and women of different races and land pass through different stages of cultural evolution, have evolved different customs and rituals to regulate such relations. Socially sanctioned rites involved in marriage provide several relationships at different levels, be it bride and groom, within the Varna and among the kinfolks. Therefore, marriage has been considered a family affair rather than the personal one. The marriage of the Lepcha features several rituals and customary practice all along the different stages of the wedding process, in which the role and the status of the women are noteworthy. Commencement of the search for the bride is the first rite among all the marriage ceremonies, and the Lepcha marriage ceremonies also starts with the same. The first initiation of the marriage was given priority to women. Although they were given the right, the women too had the right to accept or decline. Nevertheless, they remain the second. It cannot be ignored that the women were given the priority to choose their life partner or husband. However, there is a limitation only if the criteria are fulfilled as above mentioned. Only then the right to choose or reject its partner were applicable. It must also be remembered that this conduct for the bride largely remained abstract, but
Fatima,
anyone else could enjoy such liberty.
Fatima, sorry to interrupt, but you have 4 minutes left.
Okay, sure. Nevertheless, the initiation of such a sacred ceremony must first be bride price among the tribes shows the valuable contribution of women to society. This system lifted the burden of the parents in searching for and selecting the groom for their daughters. This was the reason the birth of a girl was also to the boys through certain limitations were found as above mentioned. As stated by Gore in his work, the practice of divorce was not in vogue among the Lipchas. On the untimely death, shall be betrothed and married to the single younger brother or single nephew of her husband if both the party wishes after the consultation with the family and the elders after a year. The same custom was followed if the wife died untimely to keep the strong bond with the family, clan, and the village. The Lepcha followed this Angape system. This system may have also been adapted to avoid the custom of bride price again to the same family. Keeping in mind the expenditure of the marriage ceremony, Lepcha may have avoided the economic problems by giving this Angape system and also preventing the transfer of the lands or properties outside the family. If in case there is no unmarried male member of the family, the widow is allowed to return to her parents' house with the milch cow. If the widow in the future would like to marry again, then she has to return the bride price of her deceased husband. This custom of returning the bride price to her deceased husband also indicates the end of the marriage relation with the husband and his family. After returning the bride price, the widow will not have any connection with the deceased husband family. The marriage of the Lepchas act as a social bond that unites families and clans. The bride price is also a symbol of the woman's relationship with her husband. This is also applied to the widower. The status and the role of the women are well illustrated by the plight of the widow. The remarriages allow the of the widow or reject this Angape as per the decision. Lepcha practice widow remarriage where both husband side, not like as Prem Chowdhury has shown concerning Haryana. If a man dies, his wife is forced into marriage with. Amongst the Lepcha community was practiced in its ordinary sense, but never obtaining a son, as Rigvedic people, like is mentioned by Dr. Avinash Chaudhary Chandra Das in his book Rigvedic Culture. Although the Lepcha marriage system differs from the traditional Hindu form, the Hindu caste system is diffused into this area and plays a part in the choice of marriage partner. In conclusion, although it is seen and read that Lepcha follows a patriarchal system, but in reality, patriarchal domination over women does not appear in Lepcha society. But male domination as rulers, male control as head of the family can be seen. Women enjoy comparatively equal status with men, particularly in choosing a life partner, although with some flaws. The Lepcha tribe follows the patriarchal system, but as far as property matters are concerned, as long as the girls are not married and taken away by their husband, they have full protection. The properties were distributed among the siblings, but whenever the daughter gets married, automatically she loses the property rights of her parents. The property of the female lineage will be inherited by the daughters if they remain single or married within the Lepcha community. After marriage, the wife shares the property with her husband, but with restricted from selling the property as the inheritance rights are in the hands of their offspring. The unmarried daughters will have the right to sell and hand over the property as per their wishes. The traditional pattern of marriage has placed the Lepcha women in a relatively good position in their society. Women were not subjugated and exploited, but given a share of the family property and the right in decision making. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you for acquainting us with this aspect of the Lepcha life. As per the requirement, I open this platform for a discussion where the interested people the audience can ask their queries or make comments and observations. So I open the floor now. So as of now, I don't see any queries, but if there are, please kindly post them in the chat box so that I can take them up. I'm expecting a question from Patnaik sir. So sir, please, if you may. Okay. So the very first question for you, Fatima, is what is your say on bride price?
Okay, bride, like in what context, like bride price, what is my say on bride price means on which context you are asking, like how Because I have already said like what bride price is for women and all. So in what context you are asking? I'm just confused.
I think he would like to know your opinion on it, like the term. Yeah. So how would you like to explain the term bride price? Does it carry any connotation of some sort or anything that you would like to add? Or do you take the term as it is?
Okay, bride price. Okay. Actually, here bride price actually it's not the term bride price. The name actually price which is added to bride. Actually, it is not what to say the monetary value, but whatever the bride price as the list of the bride price that I've shown already in the PPT. Uh, these only highlights like how Lipchas count bride price as only the material things. That is also like the rituals things like 2 full basket of tea, that is the alcohol which is considered not alcohol, this is beverage, the very uh, Lepchas they use for the religious purpose, and marriage also considered as the religious purpose which unites the two family, and they consider the importance of this chi, and they demand chi as bride price, and like another amudum dam that is wearing a prazal for the mother. So looking all those material thing, and I don't know what to say, the bride price here give importance in the life of the women, because in other section of the society instead of bride price they have to uh, 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 bride has to give price, that I don't know what is the exact word now.
I
I'm very
think dowry. Dowry.
yeah, dowry system is there. So looking at that dowry system as well as this bride price, I think Lepchas women are given higher status in the society, or you can say the Lepchas has given Lepcha women were given higher place in the society.
Okay, in continuation to the question, there's an explanation to it. So he asks that why did you not use the local term in place of bride price?
Yeah, I have used the local. I have used the term here. Okay, bride price for bride price, but not in the PPT, because it's a lecture word. I think others will not understand. That's why I didn't say like I put the word bride price.
But is engagement price similar to bride price? Because you've used an indigenous word for that in your PPT.
Okay, engagement. Okay, this is no. Under bride price only, these engagement price will come, like Nyam Asegyu, that is engagement price. They have got separate things they have to submit for this engagement price.
So there's one more question where he asks that, do you think that that is the right translation? I mean, do you think bride price is the right translation for the indigenous word, for the lecture word of?
Yeah, actually, it is not the right, for me, as per my view, it is not the right word to give the name bride price. But if we use the, for others to understand, we use the word bride price. But that bride price, that price word doesn't give the appropriate message.
All right. So any other queries or comments that anyone else would like to make in the audience? Fatima, you could stop sharing
Okay,
screen
sure.
before we take up the next question. So we have the next question by somebody called Tri, who's I think logging in from Sikkim. So Tri asks that, is the concept of cross-checking of Chu, Do, Lep, and Pucho, pardon my pronunciation, for both the sides during the matching process is really practical to the present context?
Okay, the concept of cross-checking of Chu, actually Da, Leb, and Pucho for the both the site during the match process is really practical to the present
Yeah.
context. Okay, for present context now, actually present context, most of these things during the marriage session they don't even see also. But when the marriage it takes place within the lecture community, then definitely they will see these kind of things like uh, uh, the concept of Chu Da Lake, and that's why they are saying like for the marriage ceremony these things are very very important for the lecture ceremony. But nowadays like you know the uh, lectures they have already accepted other religion also. So I don't think like most of the lectures also when they have cross marriage they will not see these things for the marriage system. And and the concept of the lepchas following these two, the Da and Lep and the clan for the marriage system was actually to avoid the marriage within the same caste clan of the lepchas. So their concept was I can say the old tradition, or you can say the customs that they followed from the beginning. And for me also, I don't think it is practical in the present context.
Okay, okay, Fatima. Fatima, I'm just curious to ask. I'm asking something out of curiosity,
Okay.
since I see no other question here. So, since we are talking about marriage, discord in marriage is something that is inevitable.
Which marriage
So,
you said?
discord in marriage, troubles in marriage,
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering that if in case there's trouble in marriage between the two parties, would
Mm-hmm.
the couple like to consult the village headman or the village panchayat? I don't know what is the linguistic equivalent of village panchayat in Lepcha, but would they like to consult the village headman or the panchayat, or do they knock the doors of the court? And this brings me to ask that are the Lepcha laws different from the court, from the constitution, or from the legal system that we have? So if you could elaborate a little on that.
Okay, actually, the problem, as I informed during the presentation, that if any problems occurs during the marriage ceremony relating to this clan or something, the Lepcha men when they get married with the non-Lepcha, you're talking about that, or
No.
or
Let's
the,
say it's a marriage between two. I mean, a lecture woman and a lecture man.
both lecture men and women.
Yeah.
Okay, if they like as per the customary law, like in the customary law, it has been written that if both lepcha boy and a girl, if they want to marry, and if the problem of this chuda and lake comes up as a problem there, then definitely they will not the community will not allow them to reside in the place. That means they have to forfeit the area and they have to leave. And and uh, and you also asked like whether it is different from the
Yeah.
court
Are
or
the
not, or
community
something.
laws
Yeah,
different from
definitely
the
they can go
court
and
of
they can go and solve this problem through the court. But I don't think it is different. Lepcha's customary law and the court is different. Even this will come under the court, and if they go with this problem, and if that problem is valid, then definitely it will get solved. But I have seen like in like these days only, recently, let me say, okay, the problem of this kind, they were like sent away from their place. And I have never seen like those people who was like forfeited from their land. They have like approached the court and they have followed some court procedure.
All right. All right. So
Maybe because lepchas they followed that customary law, or maybe they don't know exactly what they can do if they are in that problem.
Uh, all right, Fatima, I see no further queries or comments. So this brings us to the end of Fatima's presentation. Thank you, Fatima, once again for
Thank you so much.
facing this session. Since we have paucity of time and a strict schedule, so I'll invite our next speaker, Devanjali Bhattacharya. Devanjali, if you could hear me, kindly switch on your video and please mark yourself present.
Am I audible?
Yes, Devanjali, you're audible.
Yes. Should I share my screen now?
Yes, please do. Before you do so, I'd like to inform the audience that we have Devanjali Bhattacharya with us, and she has titled her paper as a rendition of indigenous life, handicrafts in the Kharya Shabur folk songs. So, Devanjali, the same rules. You have 20 minutes to go, and the podium is all yours.
Is my screen?
No, your screen isn't visible.
Okay. Let me check. Now?
Nah, nothing.
My God. I don't know then what to do. Is there any other option, ma'am? I can't share it.
Devanjali,
Anyway.
you just first to open the file. After that, there is an option. Please click on share the screen. Share.
Yes, sir, I'm doing that. And that file, the PPT is open in another tab.
No. Okay, 1 second. Could you tell me the name? What is the name of the tab?
It's a PPT, sir.
No, 1 second. Just
I'm trying to share my screen and there are lots of options. Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, Photos.
no. Not like, first you have to open and keep the file open. After that, come to Zoom and click there, share.
Okay, sir. Trying.
Click the share option.
Yes, again, it's showing Google Drive, Box, Photo, Document, and etc. I just can't share the exact file I'm trying to share.
No, you are using mobile phone.
Yes, sir.
She's using mobile phone. It is not possible. It will create problem.
No, then there will be some problem.
Okay. Is there any other option, sir?
Other option is you have to give a presentation because it cannot be shared like that.
Okay.
You can send it to it. Now it may take time if you send someone.
Yeah, so in that case, we'll have to move on to the next paper presenter, and meanwhile she can share it with the person.
That's a better idea, better option. You ask her to be ready and move to the other paper.
Devanjali, kindly mail your presentation to any one of the organizers, Venkat sir or me or anybody.
You can send to us, Devanjali. You can send anyone.
Okay, sir.
And you figure it out. And meanwhile, we'll move on to the next paper presenter, Hina Verma. Hina, are you there? If you're Devanjali, if you could just switch off your video. And
I'm trying.
All right. Hina, hi. Can you hear me, see me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Hi, Hina. So we have Hina Verma with us. She has titled her paper as Dynamics of Community Radio in Tribal Empowerment. Hina, just briefly introduce yourself and then the podium is all yours. You will have a stretch of 20 minutes for your presentation.
Okay.
And if you have anything to share, you can share your screen and do the needful.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm audible?
Yes, you're audible. We can see your screen, and you can just make it full screen. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Hina Verma. I am a postgraduate student, Department of Culture and Media Studies, Central University of Rajasthan. And my paper title is Dynamics of Community Radio in Tribal Empowerment. And now I'm talking about the introduction. The term tribe is derived from the Latin words tribus, which means 1/3. India has a reputation for being a melting pot of tribes and races. Tribal language are spoken rather than written. Communication is limited in both time and space. According to the Imperial Gazetteer of India, a tribe is a collection of families who share a common name, speak a common dialect, and live in or claim to live in the same area. Tribal societies, according to L.M. Lewis, are small in scale, have a limited spatial and temporal range of social, political, and legal interactions, and have a morality, religious, and broader outlook of commensurate dimensions. Now I'm talking about the popular tribes in Odisha, some of the Konda, Bonda, Gonds, and Koyas. So first I'm describing about the Konda. Konda is one of the largest tribes in Odisha that worships hills, nature, and streams. The people of the Kond tribe have essential knowledge of the mountains, trees, forests, and plants. Now I'm talking about the Bonda, one of the country's primitive tribes living in the quaint hills in Malkangiri district, Odisha. The unique culture, enthralling customs, and typical attire make Bonda the most popular tribal community in the state. Now I'm talking about the Gondas, a warrior tribe that resides in the hills of Koraput, Bhalangir, Sundarbag, Kalahandi, and Sambalpur is Gonda. Not just India, but Gond is one of the largest tribe in South Asia. Now I'm talking about the Koyas. Amongst the more than 60 Odisha tribes, Koyas is one of the top tribes which rich ancient tradition, culture, art, and customs. Apart from Malkangiri, Odisha, the chivalrous people of the Koya tribes also resides in some parts of Andhra Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. So as you can see in this map, this is the pictorial representation of the tribe where the most tribes. This is the pictorial representation of the tribals where the percentage on the basis of the percentage. The most of the tribal are resides in Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Nagaland. Now I'm talking about what is culture. Culture is a symbolic communication. Some of its symbols include a group's skills, knowledge, attitudes, values, and motives. The meaning of the symbols are learned and deliberately perpetuated in a society through its institution. Now I'm describing about the folk culture. Folk culture refers to a culture traditionally practiced by a small homogeneous rural group living in a relative isolation from other groups. Historically handed down through oral tradition, it demonstrates the old ways over nobility and relates to a sense of community. Anthropologists coined the term culture, which refers to a integrated body of traditional understanding matching a self-sufficient community as shown in folk life. Folklore plays a vital role in passing down a society's values, beliefs, and moral lessons. Now I'm describing about the community radio. Community radio is when people produce and broadcast their own programs and participate in operating the stations. It is community space for people to meet and collaborate It is extraordinarily fun and often life-changing. It typically leads to individual creativity and self-empowerment. Now I'm talking about the COVID-19. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that cause illness, ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases. A novel coronavirus is a new strain that has not been previously identified in humans. The new virus was subsequently named the COVID-19 virus. So as you can see in this picture is a pictorial representation of the different folk cultures of the different states. Like Orissa is a Patrachitra, Chitrapathi, mural paintings, Saura Santhal, and Rajasthan have Jaipur art, Marwar art, Mewar art, Bikaner art, Bundi, Kota, Kishangarh, and many more. Now I'm talking about the tribal community face many challenges and problems. A few common ones are poverty and exploitation, economic and technological backwardness, socio-cultural handicaps, problems of assimilation with the non-tribal population. Illiteracy among tribal is a major hindrance to their developments. The problem of health and nutrition is very common among tribals due to the lack of proper medical and sanitary facilities and poverty. Indebtedness due to lack of adequate sources of income. Tribals who have been degraded to the status of untouchables. Now I'm talking about the problems faced by the tribal community during COVID-19 pandemic. Lack of awareness, lack of availability of non-farm activity, lack of nutritional facilities, inadequate health infrastructure, restricted movement to forest areas, and reliance on herbal medicines are some of the worst conditions that the indigenous population had to face worldwide during the pandemic. Lack of healthcare facilities, COVID-19 information, and testing kits. It is a well-known fact that COVID-19 impacts people with compromised health condition and low immunity. This further increased the risk of widespread infection in the tribal population, many of whom are living in deprivation, allocation and monitoring of testing equipment in tribal area is a major challenge, as testing is mostly limited in tribal areas. Food insecurity, loss of livelihood, and unemployment. Food insecurity accompanied by malnutrition and micronutrient deficiencies is a major cause of concern. Access to public distribution system is poor as the tribal and other tribal forest dwellers reside remotely. Loss of livelihoods from minor forest produce and non-timber forest produce. The condition of mahua flower collectors in Odisha is an example of tribals lurched in the lockdown. Trading of these flowers during the summer season is a major source of livelihood for some tribal communities in Odisha. The COVID-19 pandemic has hurt the trade and disrupted the tribal economy, as there are no flowers buyer and markets are closed too. Education. Tribal community students face problem in continuing school education because of COVID-19 lockdown. Now, my paper hypothesis is there are several issues tribal communities are facing related to health, education, and socioeconomic status. It is considered that these issues can be addressed by community radio to empower tribal communities. My paper's methodology is literary analysis was done to evaluate the role of community radio in tribal empowerment. And the result I find through my methodology literary analysis, I found out the several radio station from Odisha which is played a significant role during COVID-19 empowering the tribals. So first is Dhimsa Radio, center operator Udainath Hantal, a community radio station in Odisha Koraput district, is providing school lessons to unprivileged tribal peoples who don't have access to the internet or can't buy a smartphone. The project's The project aims to bridge the digital divide in education in the face of the novel coronavirus illness pandemic. The first program begins at 6 a.m. And is followed by the most recent pandemic updates. The shows are aired in Desia, the local dialect, and can be heard in 62 villages in and around the district Umuri block. Now I'm talking about the Muskan radio. Odisha's Kandmal district Muskan has been broadcasting COVID-19 related material in both Odia and the local Kui dialect. They have formed a partnership with the local administration, including the chief district medical officer, and are disseminating government instructions on lockdown and closure, as well as vaccination and other messaging. Radio Muskan, on the other hand, has been successful in encouraging people to follow the COVID expectable behavior. Now I'm talking about the Surbhi radio. Radio Surbhi in the Nayagarh districts, the Sapalla block, has gone beyond broadcasting on COVID-19 to actively assist the locals. For the past year, Radio Surbhi had broadcast a daily show for students in grades 1 through 5 called Sikhaya Surbhi. A specific resource person has been assigned to assist the scripting of 30-minute show, which will cover all topics because schools were closed due to the pandemic. Children in rural were unable to attend schools. Even if online programs were available, not everyone could afford a smartphone. They decide to put on a special presentation for the student to keep them up to date on the curriculum. Now I'm talking about the Hirakhand radio. Radio Hirakhand in Sambalpur district is a community radio station that began broadcasting in 2008. The station is run, owned, and influenced solely by the communities it serves. The channel broadcasts so on topic like livelihood and skill development, education and learning, health and nutrition, agriculture, human right, good governance, the environment and climate change, disaster management, scientific popularization, and folk entertainment, among others. Now I'm talking about the car radio. Radio Car in Kyonjar district, the broadcasters are advising people on do's and don'ts when the situation worsens and the cyclone makes landfall, beside health advisories on COVID-19. Vishwajit Padhi, Chief Functionary of the Community Radio Association of Odisha, said that the community radios will continue to broadcast updates on wind, speed, and cyclone directions till their towers are hit by the cyclone. While the information of cyclones and government advisories are being collected from district administration, BDOs, tehsildars, and volunteers, telephone lines have been kept open in the radio station for people to send in information and seek help during any emergency. Now I'm talking about the Swayam Shakti radio. When the coronavirus outbreak broke out, Kharihar Naupadas radio, Swayam Shakti launched a radio campaign to link customers with milkmen who had lost business owing to the lockdown. This tiny but timely efforts was changing things for the better when the traditional media published image of frustrated milkmen emptying their unsold milk on the roads. Stations across the country have created locally specific jingles to advocate the use of masks, social separation, and hand washing in the region's native language and dialect. Call centers were established in radio stations, studios to not only broadcast the frequent changing guidelines as soon as they were announced, but also to answer listeners' questions, forming an effect bridge between the community and the government in dealing with their grievances during the pandemic. Now, talking about the Ghare Ruhantu Susta Ruhantu radio, Lingra Samanta station head of Odisha, Ghare Ruhantu Susta Ruhantu is a community radio station in Kalahandi, Odisha, run by Odisha Gramin Vikas. This radio broadcasts do's and don'ts like social distancing, no unneeded hovering about wearing masks. Now I'm talking about the Gunjan radio. Radio Gunjan, situated in Baragara, Odisha, is the region's first community radio station, being launched in 2018. The station is entirely reliant on volunteers from the community. Radio Gunjan Kaka Ali Chanda is a unique broadcast. The program's primary goal is to promote local culture. Now I'm talking about the conclusion. Community radio has played a very significant role in the empowerment of tribal people. Community radio also played a significant role during the COVID-19 pandemic in tribal communities through the dissemination of relevant information and advice to protect the tribal community from the outbreak of COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Hina. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, for that concise presentation. It's so encouraging to see young students like you venture into this aspect. Thank you for that. Hina, as per the norms, I'll have to open the platform for discussion now. So let's just see if there are any questions, comments, and observations on your presentation.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the questions pour in, I'd like to know that how did you decide that you would like to make a presentation on this topic? Any personal story, any inside story behind that?
Ma'am, I am a culture, media and culture student. So during my masters, I learned about different cultures. So it keep motivating me to choose this title and think about tribal people and choose this topic.
Okay. So did you visit the field? Did you visit any of these radio stations? Did you get a chance?
No. At present, I am a master student, so I have a limited time and resources. But yeah. I would like to explore.
This could be a wonderful research topic, and a lot can be done over this aspect. So let's see if there's any questions or comments over your presentation. As of now, I don't see any. I request the audience to post any thing that they would like to ask Hina. We have sufficient time for a good discussion on this topic. Hina, let's wait for 2-3 minutes more. Let's see if there any question comes up, and then we'll take that up. So let's wait for 2-3 minutes. If there are no questions, then we'll move on to the next presentation. Hina, I don't think any queries are coming. So this brings us to the end of your presentation. I wish you all the best. And thank you, Hina, for giving us your presentation at this platform. So, all right, so we come to the next paper presenter, Oindrila Dr. Chaudhary. She has titled her paper as Music in the Storytelling Tradition of the Potua, the bards of Bengal. Hina, Oindrila, just briefly introduce yourself and then you can start off with your presentation. If you want to share your screen, you can easily do that since you've been made the co-host.
Thank you, ma'am. My regards to all. I'm a PhD research scholar of the Department of Music, University of Delhi. So I'm just sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, Oindrila, we can see that. We can see your presentation.
Okay. So my topic is music in the storytelling tradition of Patua, the bards of Bengal. Firstly, I would like to explain the title of my paper, where I would be talking about Portugal community, and my main focus would be the significance of music in their storytelling tradition. So firstly, we need to know what is Portugal community. Actually, Portugal community, they are related to, they are associated with the Pattachitra tradition, which is a painting form of the entire Eastern India, especially Orissa, West Bengal, Bihar, and some parts of Jharkhand. So actually, this is the scroll painting of Pattachitra, where you can see that this is the Krishna Lila Pattachitra, where Radha Krishna are sitting, and the series of paintings are just systematically they are arranged to tell the story of Krishna Lila. So this is the Pattachitra. This is the Pattachitra tradition of the entire Eastern India. My topic would be how different is the West Bengal's Pattachitra and the Portugal community. They, how much they can be discriminated with the help of music in this Pattachitra tradition. So the introduction. A traditional scroll painting from Eastern India, the Pattachitra tradition is the important essence of intangible heritage and is an intrinsic part of conventional storytelling art form. Though Pattachitra refers to the entire Eastern India, especially the Indian subcontinent of West Bengal, Orissa, Bihar, and Jharkhand, it is in the West Bengal where the painters of this folk art represent themselves more as storytellers, using music to depict the story behind their paintings. Through centuries, the Potuas in West Bengal are playing the role of painters, composers, and as well as singers, and are engaging in this art form by amalgamating the three various mediums of art: painting, singing, and storytelling. Though it is very hard to determine the exact date of origin as a profession, from various oral lore and oral tradition, they can be estimated to have begun as a profession from around 10th to 11th century AD in Bengal. So Pattachitra and the Portugal community, they actually, their occupation was to roam around the villages and talk about and tell the stories of their paintings, especially the mythological stories and social stories in front of their audience with the help of singing and painting. Then the Portugal community, I would like to share the mythological origin of the Portugal community. And you can find that in the ancient text, you cannot find any kind of reference of Portugal community broadly, but it is in the medieval period, especially the Brahmavaivarta Puran, which was written in the mid of 13th century. There said that Portugal belongs to the Navasak group. Now, what is Navasak group? It is an occupational group, the group of artisans, and it is believed that they are the children of Vishwakarma, the lord of creative art, and Ghritachi, the Apsara women. And in the Navasak group, the other artisans are Sutradhar, Malakar, Karmakar, and so on. And the youngest of all is Chitrakar. And I would like to say that the Potua is also known as Chitrakar because they use the surname Chitrakar. And it is said that all the 9 children of Vishwakarma were cast by Lord Brahma, and they would be eternally involved in manual labor. Later, all the 8 children would purify themselves except the Chitrakar. So this is the mythological evidence I have mentioned in my paper. Then the social identity. The social identity of Potua is very interesting because they believe that they are neither Hindu nor Muslim. They say that we paint for the Hindu folk deities, Hindu deities, and we praise them, and we also paint the Muslim saints and we talk about them. So we follow both the ritual of both the religion, Hindu and Muslim, and maybe this is because they are the poor people, and from the very beginning, to survive they need patronage. And if you remember that the time they started flourishing is the medieval period, and in medieval period there was Muslim Raj in Bengal. So Muslim, then Hindu, then British came, and then again Hindu. Maybe because of the patronage, they don't like to share their original social identity. So it is quite interesting as well as very confusing also. But they use the surname Chitrakar. Like if you examine the name, like someone has Dupusham Chitrakar, someone has Jamila Chitrakar. So you can find the difference. So, and traditionally in the West Bengal, Potuas were to be found in various villages in Medinipur, 24 Parganas, Birbhum, Bankura, Howrah, Murshidabad, and Bardhaman district. Today, the majority of Potua came from the village of Pingla of West Medinipur, Obichok of East Medinipur, Majdamura of Purulia, and a couple of villages in the Birbhum district. Then Pattachitra, the storytelling tradition. Firstly, we need to know what is storytelling tradition. I have given a very beautiful definition given by Pelovsky in 1977, that storytelling is the art or craft of narration of stories in verse and or laid by one person before a live audience. The stories narrated may be spoken, chanted, or sung with or without musical, pictorial, and or other accompaniment, and may be learned from oral, printed, or mechanically recorded sources. One of its purpose must be that of entertainment. So throughout the ages, the Pattachitra of Bengal has been a platform where several methods of communication mingled, including visual messages, oral tradition, and music, all of which help to amalgamate, involve, and portray nature, society, and its ideation. Then Pot Khalano, an audiovisual art form. Khalano is a Bengali term which means displaying or playing. So audiovisual means the thing which we hear as well as see. So the displaying of paintings on the scrolls or the butters with the help of songs would be referred as pot khalano. I have with me an original pot. I would like to show. I think you can see this. So this is the original pot made by Dukusham Chitrakar, who recently passed away. So this is a pot actually, and this is a pot of fish wedding, where they talk about the story of the story of hypocrisy of the society, in a very sarcastic mode. And I would like to sing two lines to just depict how they perform. So if I'm allowed to. So
yes, Sohendrila, please carry on.
Okay, thank you. So Daria macher biye karate cholo go rongila, Daria macher biye karate cholo go rongila, puti mach bole ami, puti mach bole ami, bor sajai debo go rongila, Daria macher biye karate cholo go rongila, চিংড়ি মাছ বলে আমি, চিংড়ি মাছ বলে আমি, হারমোনি বাজাবো গো রঙিলা, দাঁড়িয়া মাছের বিয়ে করাতে চলো গো রঙিলা, সব মাছ বলে আমি, সব মাছ বলে আমরা খাবার খেয়ে যাবো গো রঙিলা, দাঁড়িয়া মাছের বিয়ে করাতে চলো গো রঙিলা, বোয়াল মাছ বলে আমি, বোয়াল মাছ বলে আমি, সব বেটাকে খাবো লো রঙিলা, দাঁড়িয়া মাছের বিয়ে করাতে চলো গো রঙিলা. So like that they actually perform. And actually if you are studying performance studies, and without performing it cannot happen, so I just perform this. So this is the performance tradition of Pattachitra. And then I have given, the lady is very much famous in this field. Her name is Shonu Chitrakar, and she is holding in her hand, this is a Patachitra of Gazi Pir. And so like this, she is performing. Then my main focus is Potter Gan or the Potua songs. The songs of Patachitra are called Potter Gan or Potua song. Potter Gan can be regarded as a typical example of folk song. So now the main question would be why they prefer to use music in this storytelling art form. Maybe this is because of the ever acceptance of music, or maybe if we quote a famous folklorist of Bengal, Dr. Ashutosh Bhattacharya, he rightly said that if you want to know Bengal, you should know the music of Bengal. So for that matter, maybe Potua music also reflects the image of the society through musical mythological stories. Potua songs are about the simplicity, affection, warmth, sacrifice, and many more sentiments of rural Bengal. Now, in a song, we have two parts. One is lyrical aspect, second one is musical element. In lyrical aspect, the main thing is the theme or the subject matter. The primary theme or the subject matter of Patachitra can be divided into the following categories: stories from various Indian religious texts, from Indian mythologies, from folk tales, local folk tales, different historical, social, cultural, religious incidents of regional, national, and international significance. And nowadays, different social and health-related awareness programs also are done through the help of Patachitra and Potter Gan, and like global warming, AIDS, HIV, corona, etc. Now the parts of Potua song. Bengali Potua song can be considered as lyrical ballad. They are the oral form of narrative poetry that recites a single event or a dramatic story through lyrical portrayal. They are quite lengthy. If you examine the parts of song of the ancient period, in the ancient Drupad music also we have several parts, like we have Sthai, Antara, Sanchari, Abhog. And in Bengal also, in Ravindra Sangeet, Padavali Kirtan, Najrulgiti, we have several parts of song. In Potua music also, if you examine the total performance, the total song, you can find generally four parts. One is Bhumika or the introduction. In this part, the artist firstly greet the audience and introduce the subject matter which he is trying to depict during his performance. Means while they start like that. শোনো শোনো দাদারা, শোনো শোনো বাবুরা, নীল বিদ্রোহের কথা শোনো না, ও বাবুরা নীল বিদ্রোহের কথা শোনো না. Means, please listen to me, please pay attention to me. I will be talking about the Indigo Revolt, the story of Indigo Revolt, which is a very significant historical incident of the during the British Raj of West Bengal. And so in this matter, they just greet the audience, introduce the subject matter like that in the first part. Then the kahini or the story part. Kahini or the story is the longest part, and he gently describes the whole portrayal elaborately. Mahatma or the glory. The theme of a Potua song depends either on the mythological gods or the goddesses or some great personalities of the society. And then Bhanita or the self-introduction part. I would like to share that this part is not mandatory in every Potua song. It is basically performed by the Potuas from the Pingla region, and maybe this tradition is taken from the Padavali Kirtan, which is a very strong, most enriched branch of Bengali folk song. And where in the last part, the author, introduce themselves by mentioning his or her name. So this is the parts of Potua song. Now the musical element. Musical elements also can be divided into two parts. One is tune or sur, another one is tal or rhythm. So tune. Region-wise, Bengali Potter Gan or Potua song is sung in the southern part of Bengal, which is a region of Pala and Panchali singing style. Now, what is this? We have in musicology, we have a branch which is called geomusicology. So in this concept, you can categorize a particular region, the musical sphere of a region, into several parts by according to its geographical or atmosphere or ambience, etc. So according to this concept, we can categorize West Bengal into 4 major musical spheres. One, the northern part, which is a Bhavaiya region; in the eastern part, which is a Bhatiyali region; in the western part, which is a Jhumu region; and in the southern part, which is a Pala Panchali region. So Pachali, it is again Pala Pachali, they are the singing style, very famous singing style. What is Pachali? It is a worshipping singing style. It is mainly for the worship. Like we have Lakshmi Pachali, we have Durga Pachali, we have Saraswati Pachali, and every Thursday we actually sing the Pachali song. And there is nobody to teach how the Pachali singing style can be done and all, because maybe this is the influence of we simply can sing this without any kind of convention musical education like that. Like if you go to the western part of the India, we have Garba region. So from that region, you cannot have anyone. They can simply dance the Garba dance. So this is like that. And in recent times, the traditional tune of Baul music and Jhumur song also influence the Potua music. And now if we examine the octave, so the notation sphere, so they basically they are sung in the middle and the higher octave. Okay. And now the notation structure. If you examine the notation structure, the notation they use in their song, they basically show a strong resemblance of the classical music ragas, especially the ragas of Bilaval, Kafi, Bhairavi. Especially Kafi, because the use of Komal Ga and Komalni is very much can be heard in every Potua song, because maybe it is they started flourishing in medieval period, and in ancient period and medieval period we have Suddha Saptak, which is Kafi, and it is only around the modern period we say that the Suddha Saptak is Suddha scale is Bilaval. So maybe for that reason they use Kafi, Bilaval, and Bhairavi in their song. Last, the Tal. Potua song generally is either religious, historical, or social, so that the artist compose and sing them using Madhyalay. Now, why Madhyalay? It is because maybe their main concern is to tell the story in front of their audience. So, like for that matter, they use the Madhyalay. Madhya means the moderate tempo. So, and lastly, it can be mentioned that the Potua have a peculiar tendency of using 3/3 or 4/4 beats in most of their songs. Besides the use of 3/3 or 4/4 beats or dadra or ektal or keherwa or tintal of Indian classical music, we can also find some other rhythmic pattern in Potua music, but not on regular basis. The use of 5/5 beats or 7/7 beats in a cycle is also found very rarely. It would be easier if I explain this with an example. Like in a song of Chandi Mangal Pot, they sing like that. Tarite hobe matara ruichi sharonagato tarite. So if you examine the music, the structure of tal, so 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. If you know the music, this is actually the structure of 5/5 beat, 2/3 beat, and it is a famous tal of Hindustani classical music called jhaptal. So they use the jhaptal, and then when the song it goes on, then they shifted to another tal, which is Durge Durge Tara Mago Dukha Bilashini Durjaya Dukhine Mayer Nogindru Nundini Doshe Hat Chundi Mayer Doshe Dike Saje Trinoyun Joleche Mayer Kopaliri Mache. So they just shifted the tal in 3/3 beat. So maybe this form also is taken from the Padavali Kirtan, because they have a very strong tal paddhati, and the tune they use is very much related to Pachali actually music. This, the use of Komulka, Komuli and all. So this is about my presentation. I have also given the YouTube link of the original song if you like to hear. And this is my presentation. And the conclusion, I have also given some well exponent of recent times who are especially associated with the potted gun, like Kushan Chitrapal, Shrutinath Chitrapal, Namin Chitrapal, etc. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oindrila. You already have a compliment from the audience saying that congratulations for making the presentation very lively. So thank you for that. Before we move on to the question, we already have a question in the comment box. I'd like to show you something. So since you mentioned Daria March,
Okay.
I procured something.
Oh.
So this is from my collection. Can you see Daria March in the in the palanquin?
Actually, the fish is getting married.
Married, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is something from my collection. I can't sing as beautifully as you can, so I'm going to skip that part and I'm going to move on to the question by our HOD sir, Professor Patnaik, where he asks that when you attempt to study a community, what is your priority? Do you prefer to see them inside or outside the community?
Actually, I'm not from the Portugal community, so I cannot study from the insider perspective. Yeah, I can study them from the outsider perspective, but why not? Because there is only one connection, that they are from the somehow they are related to the Bengali culture. So yeah, culturally we can connect. So we can so I can study from the inner perspective also. But for Potua region, I'm not from that community, especially that very small community. So yeah, I'm studying them from the outer perspective.
Professor Patnaik continues with his question where he says that performance within the community or when they perform on stage?
They actually both they actually perform like both, and now they are very famous because they are traveling all around the world and all. But I have visited the place several times, like in Pingla, Majramura and all. So I have studied them from them like from that perspective also, while they just perform with for their community, and from on stage community also.
He asks that what is your preference? Do you like the Potuas performing on the stage or when they're performing within a community?
When they're they with their community, I will prefer.
So you're suggesting probably that the performance changes when the audience change. Is that?
Definitely, yeah.
I request the audience members to post in their questions, comments, observations. Meanwhile, the audience does so. I have some queries of my own. Now, I know that you're not really looking into the sociological aspect of it, but let's just try to venture into it at our own pace. Okay, so my question is this: that what are your views on the women Potuas? Like, do you agree that women or girls get the opportunity to learn the craft more casually, and often their learning is disrupted because of marriage and the responsibility that they have to carry out, doing the household chores, childbearing, and things like that? My video is disturbing, so I will just switch it off. Okay.
Thank you for your question. Actually, I mean, some before 20 years or 10 years or 15 years, the women of Potua, they were shrouded in, they are basically, their main purpose is to serve their men and all. Like they indirectly helped in their in the Potachitra tradition. But now, if you visit the place, I know some of the women Potua, they are actually so much engaged in this art form. They painted, they just they paint, they sing, they compose songs. Like today's generation, we have Mamuni Chitrapal, and she is so much inspiring. And but marriage and the household work nowadays, nothing that, I mean, not like so much, like very much what say not that much very what to say, I mean, they can have the preference. I mean, what should you do? I mean, if you want to perform, if you want to compose songs and all, you can do so. So this is a guidance, but yes, the community have there some decorum also. They should have some culture. So that is why they maybe that is why they are bounded, but not everyone. I think Shorno Chitrakar, Mamuni Chitrakar, they are very much able to do so, and they are very much supporting in this matter. So
this brings me to my next query, Indrila, that do you feel that the women singers have access to a highly conventional structure of the songs that constitute a code over which men have had more control through generations?
no, actually, I'm again saying that for the song matter, I mean, if you are just painter, okay, if you're just go to a painter and you just paint the store painting and all, where the mains are very much famous, but especially in the musical part, especially in this generation, the women are very much famous, and they are doing, I think, very much. I mean, they are doing very properly. I mean, maybe than the men do, I think.
All right, Indrila, that is all I had to ask. So let's wait if audience have something further to talk about. So I don't see any questions, but just give it a minute or two, yeah? I really don't see any question. I don't expect any questions coming in. So thank you so much, Indrila. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Thank you for giving us your time. So we'll move on to the next presentation by Devanjali Bhattacharya. Devanjali, if you're there.
Yes, finally. And I'm really sorry for this inconvenience.
That's completely okay. It's none of us are in control, so it's okay. Nothing to do. So I think Venkat sir has access to your presentation, and let's wait for him to share his screen. So Devanjali, is this your screen?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Devanjali Bhattacharya. I'm an MPhil research scholar at the Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literary Studies, University of Delhi. My paper is on folk songs of Portugal Community, and the title of my paper is A Rendition of Indigenous Life, Handicrafts in Portugal folk songs. So can you please move the slide? Yes. So we know India as a subcontinent because of its diversity. And by the word diversity, we mean cultural diversity, and diversity is celebrated through different languages, people, lives, texts, customs, traditions, cultures, and the list is so on. In this paper, we will try to locate the diversity in a different perspective through a pluralistic approach. Now there are several indigenous groups, particularly there are 75 PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups in India right now. Among them, Portugal is a very significant one. Originally they are from Odisha. Later they migrated to several parts of India, mostly in belt of Chota Nagpur plateau. And there are almost 15,000 Portugal people live in the outskirts of Purulia in West Bengal right now. Like other indigenous communities, this particular community has a very rich and diverse cultural heritage and history. And it's said that Khariya Shabur people have a unique tendency to compose songs and stories instantly with random topics, with the daily lives and topics related to that. One such topic is their handicraft that has been reflected in their folk songs, which had shaped the entire idea of their indigenous life. And so next slide, please. Yes. In most of the cases, we see that any handicrafted product is named after the place where it comes from, or the product, the main component it is made of. But in this particular case, we see that there is the name of the handicraft is named after the community itself, which is quite surprising, and there are lots of reasons behind it. But before getting into the reasons, let us explore what is Charbot handicraft. Basically, this is a handmade biodegradable product made of very natural elements like dried date leaves and catkin or babui grass. In Bengal, we call it babui ghash or shabai ghash somewhere. And with the help of these things, they produce daily usable necessary products like trays, baskets, mats, rat traps, and many things. And some of the artisans are making jewelries out of it. And some of the artisans have produced Durga Puja pandal in several parts of Bengal as well with the help of these products. In the coming slide, I would like to show how the elements look like. So next slide, please. Yes, in this image, you can see in the between, in the very middle of the image, this is the dried catkin or babui grass, and just right after it, it is the dried date leaves. And we don't have the needle; it's a long needle they use. That's not here. They bind all these grasses around that dried date leaf, and I'll try to show the end result in the coming slides. And these are the very natural products, elements they use for making the products. Now in the next slide we will so the next slide, please. Yeah, and in this slide, now we will explore when and how did the term Charbot handicraft emerge. It's very evident that this handicraft and this culture is directly comes under their material culture, and it's there with them, with the blood, with the community for thousands of years, and it has been transmitted from generation to generation. But what we see is before 1983, the term Charbot handicraft was not there. But that doesn't mean the culture was not there. It was there from the very beginning. But what is the reason for having this term after 1983? Here comes the importance of outsiders' perspective, I should say. Around 1983, writer come activist Mahashita Devi joined this community, and there is an organization named Poshchim Bongo Kheriya Shabor Kolyan Samiti. Here on, we will address them as PBKSKS. She joined the community, she joined the organization, and after that, they felt, I mean, the outsiders of the community felt that they should make a global market and audience for this community. And thus, they coined the term Charbot handicraft, just to address the community and the people and the culture and life related to it to the global audience. And they wanted to make the artisans believe that this culture, this handicraft should go beyond their community, and they should attain a global response. And that is the reason that after 1983, the term Charbot handicraft emerged. Now, can we move to the next slide, please? So, yeah, here are some images. You can see it's a coaster, it's a small jewelry box, it's a multi-purpose box, roti box, and it's a key hanger. and then a cycle, and it's from a courtyard of a Khariya Shabor artisan. They have put all these materials to have a sunbath, we can say. After that, let's move to the next slide. Yes. Here now comes the most important part of the presentation, that the study of selected Khariya Shabor folk songs that have direct element of Shabor handicraft and issues related to it. In my paper, I have discussed about 6 songs. Among them, 5 were propagated, and there are lots of reasons for that. But because of the limited time, I will focus on 3 songs here. And the first song is a very popular wedding song, which has been sung from both the bride and groom's side. It goes like this: Ke hudid makhaye be, ke hudid makhaye, সাধের মুনিয়ার ভাইচকো কোষে হুডিদ মাখায়, হুডিদ মাখা মারসটা ভিজি না কবি, আর নাবে সুতার বেনি ভিচিয়ে উঠা দিবা. I think you can see the translation, but I'll just wrap up in some sentences that this song is being sung by.
Sorry to interrupt, yes, but you can go slow. You have time. You can go slow.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in this particular song, we see that the groom's family members are singing this song. They are putting turmeric on the groom before getting married, and after getting the turmeric in his overall body, he has he is wet. He is wet, like wet with his own sweat, and that's why they are asking the audience to bring a shutar beni. Beni means fan, and that fan is made of shuta thread. So through this song we can easily see that Khariya Shabor people are well equipped with thread-based art as well, along with leaf or grass-based art. They are very much equipped with this thread-based art. And here in this song, through this song, we can see the customs of this community, the customs related to marriage, and a very beautiful relationship between a brother-in-law and sister-in-law. In indigenous words, devar and bhabhi. So this song says exactly how indigenous life is, or it used to be, or it still is. So this is the first song which is very popular as a wedding song. And moving to the next song. Yeah, this song is written by a very popular songwriter. To add her, sorry,
you had muted yourself. Yeah, you're okay now.
Okay. I want to share that Mahadev Shabor's daughter Ramonita Shabor is the first female graduate of this community. So we can why I mentioned this thing, it will say about his importance in the community. And in this song he says, Ghor mohor okurbaid kenda henak thanare অঞ্চল হামোর মনারা অফিস রাজনুয়া গড়রে এ হস্তশিল্প বান্ধিতে আছে সবররা মহাদেব বনই তবে হস্তশিল্প বান্ধিয়াছু মাইলডি অকরবাইদ মিলে বান্ধিয়াছু রে. In the English translation, you can see that Mahadev Shabor is sharing all his personal details, like here is my home, here is my police station, here I'm from. In this particular song, we'll see 2 aspects. The first one is the propagation of Paschim Bongo Khariya Shabor Kalyan Samiti's establishment and association with the Shabor people directly, and a literary context is there also. Coming to the first point, he says that I'm from Okurbaid. Why Okurbaid is important? Okurbaid is important because this used to be the handicraft hub for the Shabor people, and it still is. Most of the artisans are from Okurbaid, Maldi. That is why Mahadev Shabor wanted to let the people know that I am associated, being a villager of Akorbai, I am associated with Poshimong Okhedia Shabor Kollan Shomiti, and Shomiti is helping us in all possible ways. So be with us. In that way, it was easier for him to convince people that come and join us. So it was a propagation of Poshimong Okhedia Shabor Kollan Shomiti, that if Mahadev Shabor says that, okay, I'm from Akorbai, then Akorbai is with Shomiti, you all should be with us. And we should be together to fight against all the odds. And the other context is the literary context. Here you can see the word Mahadev Bonoi. This Bonoi refers to Bhonoi, and Bhonoi means to do Bhonita. And Bhonita is a very famous style of medieval Bangla poetry, where the poet writes his name at the very end of the poem to emphasis on his saying and to spread his name. So it's very evident that Mahadev Shabor is very much familiar with the literary context of that day Bengal, or the literary context of Bengal overall. So this is the in this song, through this song, we can locate two at least two directions. And coming to the third and final song, but not the least one. So can we move? Yeah. This song is written by Bibhuti Shabor, and it's also a song of propagation, but a sense of grief was there, and lots of issues have been raised in this song, along with handicrafts. The conflict of rural and urban life, severe poverty, and a promotional approach towards handicrafts are core subjects of this song. Here Bibhuti says that irrespective of gender, if you are a Shabor person, you are helpless, that you cannot buy any kind of outfit of your choice because you do not have money. And that is why he is observing a heart, Kenduli's market, this Kenduli's heart, from very far end of the market, because he knew that he or the people of this community can never be a part of the so-called mainstream ever. So he is asking his fellow mates to gaze at the happy scenes of the market from a very end, from very far end, and this shows the marginalization of the community. And then he had shifted his view from this particular issue towards another issue. He has talked about the time spent in Kolkata for handicraft related jobs, because they were called in many handicraft fairs of Bengal or any other states of India. And he has shown how they have been supervised by the upper class urban people. Here you can see that here we can see two upper class urban people's name. One is Gaur Babu and one is Amit Babu. They were in this song, it's evident that they were supervised and they were making them feel subordinate to them, and a sense of grief was there that even in Kolkata we are destined to be subordinates to the upper class urban people. And that is how it promoted the concept of Poshimongo Career Kolyan Shomiti, and the idea that was meant to be propagated. But a sense of grief, a sense of feeling left out was definitely there. And now comes, so can we move forward? Yes. Now comes the purposes of addressing Shabor handicraft in the folk songs. In the the first folk song I talked about was a traditional one. No one has told them to write that song to propagate something. That's very common. That's very common in the culture. But the rest of the songs are propagated. But what are the reasons to propagate these handicrafts in the folk songs? The first purpose is the political identity. We know about the 1871 Criminal Tribes Act. It was a threat to all the indigenous groups of India. They have been labeled as born criminals. They have been treated like animals. They have been brutally tortured both by Britishers and common people of India. And they were every indigenous community of India, not only Kharia Shabur only. Every one of them were trying to find a way out. And in 1968, some of the insiders of the community formed Poshimbango Khiria Shabur Kalyan Samiti. But somehow they are not getting the political identity they wanted as they wanted. But when Mahashata Devi joined them in 1983, she started to direct them in a new way. And they thought of using these handicraft to build their identity. And Shomiti had started promoting Shabur handicrafts to a
Devanjali, unmute yourself.
Yes, now it's clear.
It's fine.
Sorry, yeah. Purposefully reflected the folk songs, and the handicrafts are reflected in the folk songs, and the songs were written, sung, performed in various occasions just to say that we belong from this community that has such expertise. So slowly a political identity of these indigenous people generated through these songs. And the next purpose is, can we move, sir? Yeah, the social acknowledgement. Yeah, this is right, sir. Yeah, the social acknowledgement is the second point, because they have seen a lot of social injustice, discrimination, deprivation throughout their lives. They have been pulled out of their schools. They live in Shabur Tola. It's far away from the epicenter of the village, so that people are not do not see their faces or interact with them regularly. So no social security was there for them. No law and order was there. Nothing was there. So they wanted to be acknowledged by the entire society, to be included in all the terms of life. So they highlighted the fact in through their songs that this handicraft is being marketed by the name of their community, and it is earning a worldwide fame for them. So being a Kharia Shabur is not a crime anymore. Through their songs, they wanted to say that. And in the third stage, can we move, sir? Yeah, in the third stage, the economical assistance were there. As the term Shabur means shikari, vyad, hunter actually. So they belong from the hunter-gatherer forester group, and they do not even know the modern lifestyle, consumerism, the economic sustainability. So they were happy with their culture. They were happy with their material culture, performances and all. They were happy. They were not but they have never tried to think more than that. But when Mahashata Devi and Shomiti, members of Shomiti came with their own mindset, they felt an urge of making them economically sustainable. To ensure that, they use this song as a marketing tool. The more
Actually,
song reached.
Sorry to interrupt again, but you'll have to wrap up within a minute or two.
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Yeah. So this was the third point, the economical assistance to get economic sustainability. They reflected the song, reflected handicrafts in the folk songs. And in the fourth point, we have cultural heritage, the reason of cultural heritage. Can we move? Yeah, because of the cultural heritage, they wanted to showcase their cultural heritage through the songs, and several important issues like caste struggle, conflict between rural and urban life, unchanging social ambience. They tried to raise all these issues through the songs. So this is the fourth and last point, and now it's time to conclude. Being an outsider, can we move? Yeah, being an outsider, I would like to. I have seen the issue with an ethic view, and after analyzing the folk songs of the community based on the handicrafts, it's become very evident that all these songs have become a voice for this community. They're not only speaking for the handmade products only, they are promoting it to the global audience. They are trying to spread a message on how Shomiti have initiated such practice, and they are not forgetting to put the argument on several issues like caste struggle and poverty and social injustice and so on. And no, each of the issue should be
Devanjali,
addressed
you'll have to
clearly.
conclude now. You're much above time,
Yes.
so please conclude now.
Yes. So that is how I think through this songs, if any day the culture gets extinct or it dilutes by time, it will remain in the intangible art form through the songs, and this handicrafts and history associated with it will remain forever. That could help us to construct the overall idea about the community and the people. Thank you so much.
All right, Devanjali, thank you so much for your presentation on a very lesser talked community. So we'll have to wait. I mean, we have 5 more minutes to go before the session ends. So let's see if any comments or queries come up from the audience. Meanwhile, that happens. I'd like to know that how did you get associated with the Khariya Shabur community? I remember knowing about the Khariya Shabur community in Sundarban's. With regard with a certain deity.
Sorry, I can't hear you, ma'am. The last one.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No, I was saying that I heard about the Khariya Shabur community in Sundarban's of West Bengal.
Okay.
So some people from this community stay there, and I know them in relation to a particular deity that they worship, an indigenous deity that they worship called Hariji Chondi.
Yes.
Yeah, you've heard about her?
Yeah. Not with very proper informations. That's my limitation. Chondi and Shitola is there. I have heard it from one of my sirs. You were asking about how I got associated with this community. I am still associated with a trust, Charbot Welfare Trust. It runs a school for Charbot tribal kids in outskirts of Purulia, and somehow I joined them and came to know about the people. And when I started going to the villages, being with the people, and it's so nice to be with them, and that's the process I came across them, and all credit goes to them only, that they made me so interested that I tried to work more on this area.
How long have you been working with this community, Devanjali?
For last 5 years I have been associated. Yeah, it's almost 5 years.
Okay. So as far as I remember, you said that community belongs to the PVTG community. The
PVTG, yes.
Particularly vulnerable.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
I think what becomes important is to understand is that how much do we know about the intangible cultural heritage of the PVTGs, except such as folklore, arts and craft, dance, music, traditional medicine, behaviors.
Right.
And such information is available only on very limited communities. So what it calls is, from scholars like you, is a very large documentation.
Right.
A large documentation of several other PVTGs, which are even more remote than that have already been documented about. So I see no queries or comments as of now, Devanjali. So we've got 2 minutes to go if you'd like to something about your experience, anything like that, or else we can just move on. Would you like to share something?
The list, I mean, it's very, very less time. 5 years is nothing. I have to go a long way. But there are lots of experiences I can recall. Once I was in a village called Kuda, and we were making some dinner for them, and they were and they have, some of them have never come to Kolkata, and they were asking about Kolkata and all, and we were making some luchi, small flour roti kind of thing. It's fried, and that 30 minutes, 40 minutes gave me a lifelong experience. And I couldn't forget that night that in this country, there are lots of other countries which we uh, sometimes ignore, sometimes we tend to be ignored. Right. So the map, the Indian map is so colorful. If we look closely, we can see a lot of other India in this India. And this is not negative at all. This diversity should be celebrated like anything. So
all right, Debanjali, thank you so much for that wonderful engagement. I've got 1 more minute, so I'm happy that I've been within time.
Thank you so much for bearing this inconvenience.
No issues at all. No issues at all. So thank you, Debanjali. So with the HOD's permission,